You've heard of Bitcoin. Maybe you even bought some. But if someone asked you to explain how it works, would you know what to say? Most people honestly have no idea. And that's okay. The internet is filled with technical jargon, hype, and vague comparisons to gold or magic internet money. Today, we're going to do something different. We'll walk through exactly how Bitcoin works from the ground up, using simple stories, everyday examples, and real logic that actually makes sense. You'll understand how transactions are verified, how miners solve problems, and how a global network agrees on money without any central authority or bank. Most people think Bitcoin is confusing because it's complex. Let's face it, no one ever properly explained how this actually works in plain English. This video changes that. And when we get to the middle, you'll see the idea that makes the entire system possible. By the time you finish watching, you won't just understand Bitcoin. You'll be able to explain it to anyone with complete confidence. It all starts with a basic question. What if a group of friends decided to invent their own money? Let's pretend you and your friends want to play a game where you create your own money. You don't use coins or bills. You keep track of everything in a notebook. If Ava gives Ben 10 coins, you write it down. If Ben gives Chloe 5, that goes in too. Everyone uses the same notebook, and everyone can see it. This notebook is called a ledger. It's like a scoreboard, but for money. At first, it works, but then a problem comes up. One day, Ben grabs the notebook and writes, Ava gave me 100 coins. But Ava didn't. Ben just made it up. To stop cheating, you change the rules. Now only the person sending money is allowed to write the message, and they have to sign it. In real life, we use signatures to prove something came from us, like when you sign a check or a card. That signature says, yes, this is really from me. Bitcoin uses something similar, called a digital signature. It's like a secret stamp your computer makes just for you. Nobody else can copy it. When Ava sends coins, her computer makes a unique stamp using a hidden code only she knows. The stamp proves the message came from her. If someone changes the message, even a little, the stamp breaks. It doesn't fit anymore. Everyone knows it's fake, so nobody can forge her message. But here's a smart question. What stops Ava from cheating? What if she only has 10 coins but says she sent 20? That's the second rule of the notebook. Before anything gets added, the system checks Ava's balance in the ledger. If she doesn't have enough coins, the message gets rejected. The signature might be real, but the math doesn't work, so the system ignores it. This is what makes Bitcoin powerful. Every message must be signed by the sender, and the system checks that it's actually possible. So no one else can fake your money, and you can't lie about how much you have. Everyone plays by the same rules. Now, the notebook is safe. But here's the bigger idea. What if you didn't need coins at all? What if the notebook itself, just the list of who has what, was the money? If everyone agrees on the notebook, then the numbers inside it become real. That's how Bitcoin begins. So far, you've seen how your group uses a notebook to track trades. Every time someone sends money, it gets written down and must be signed to prove it's real. The notebook checks two things before it adds any message. First, did the person who sent it actually sign it? Second, do they have enough money to make that trade? If both are true, the notebook adds it. If not, it skips the addition to the record. But here's the big moment. Someone asks, wait, do we even need real coins anymore? Think about it. You're not handing anyone actual money. You're just moving numbers around in the notebook. And everyone agrees those numbers are real. If the notebook says Ava has 10 coins, she has 10 coins. If she sends 5 to Ben, now she has 5. And Ben has 5. Nothing physical moved. Just the record changed. This is the magic of Bitcoin. The money doesn't live in a vault or a card or a bank. It lives in the ledger, the big list of who has what. And because that ledger is public and shared, everyone has a copy. Everyone can check it. Everyone can see every update. This is what makes it powerful. The system doesn't ask you to trust someone to hold your money. It just lets you check the list for yourself. There are no coins in your pocket, no dollar bills under your bed. Your money is just a number in the list, protected by your secret digital signature. And when that list is trusted by enough people, it becomes real. Not because a bank says so, not because a government prints it, but because everyone agrees it works. That's what Bitcoin is, a shared public record stored by everyone that acts as the money itself. And now the next question appears. How do we all agree on the same list if there's no one in charge? Now comes a big question. If the ledger is the money, how do we make sure everyone in the world is using the same version of it? What if one person's copy says Ava has 10 coins, but someone else's copy says she has 50? How do we know which one is right? In the old system, a bank keeps the master record. That record is private, and people trust the bank to get it right. Bitcoin removes the bank completely. There is no company, no manager, and no central office in charge. So how can thousands of people agree on the same list of who owns what? The answer is this. Instead of one copy, Bitcoin has thousands of copies of the ledger, running on computers all over the world. Each time someone sends Bitcoin, the network checks three things. Did they sign the message correctly? Do they actually have the coins? And has the same message already been used before? If all of those things are true, the transaction is valid. But that's not the end of it. The network still needs to decide who gets to write it into the next official page. Only one page can be added at a time. That means everyone is competing to write the next one. The rules for who gets to write it must be fair and secure. That part of the system is called mining. We will explain that next. But first, let's answer a question that confuses a lot of people about Bitcoin. If Bitcoin is real money, why do we have to buy it with dollars? Doesn't that mean dollars are still the actual money? It's a smart question, but here's what's really going on. Dollars are still used in most parts of the world, so people trade their dollars for Bitcoin to enter the system. Think of it like visiting another country. You trade your home money for local currency. You use that new currency while you are there. Bitcoin works the same way. Once you hold Bitcoin, you can spend it, store it, and send it without going back to dollars. Inside the Bitcoin system, it becomes the money. The fact that you bought it with dollars doesn't mean it isn't money. It just means Bitcoin is still growing and not everyone is using it yet. So don't let that part confuse you. Bitcoin works because everyone agrees on the rules and no one can change the past. That's what gives it power. Now that we know how people check the ledger and verify what is true, the next question is this. Who actually gets to write the next page? That answer leads us to the world of mining and what makes Bitcoin run. Let's go back to our shared notebook, the ledger. People around the world are sending Bitcoin. Each transaction is checked, but only one person can add the next page to the list. So how does the system decide who gets to write it? There is no voting, and no one is chosen by hand. Instead, Bitcoin uses a race, a competition that anyone can join. This race is called mining, but it's not digging or searching. It's solving a math puzzle. The first computer to solve the puzzle gets to add the next page of transactions. The puzzle changes every time. It is hard to solve, but easy to check. Once someone finds the answer, everyone else can quickly confirm it is correct. That answer becomes part of the next page. The winning miner writes the page and the rest of the network accepts it. Then everyone updates their copy of the ledger to match. The puzzle takes time and computer power. It is called proof of work because the miner had to prove they spent real energy to solve it. This is what makes Bitcoin secure. To cheat, someone would need to solve the puzzle faster than everyone else and keep doing it over and over. If they wanted to rewrite history, they would have to redo all the puzzles from that point forward. That would cost an enormous amount of electricity and machines. And while they are trying to do that, the rest of the network is still moving forward. They are adding more pages. So the attacker is always falling behind. This is why cheating is nearly impossible. It is not just against the rules. It is too expensive, too slow, and too obvious. That is the genius of Bitcoin. It uses simple math and real-world effort to protect a digital list that anyone can see but no one can change. So why do people mine? What is their reward? The system gives a prize to the first miner who solves each puzzle. That prize is new Bitcoin. When Bitcoin first launched, the reward was 50 coins. Every 4 years, the reward gets cut in half. Today, it is just over 3. This reward is how new Bitcoin is created. It does not come from a bank or a government. It is earned by miners and written into the system itself. And that's not the only reward. Miners also get small fees from people sending Bitcoin. That means even when no new Bitcoin is left to earn, miners still get paid for helping. So mining is not just a guessing game. It is how the whole system stays safe. It picks who writes the next page. It proves the work was done. And it makes cheating nearly impossible. In the next section, we will look at why these pages are linked together and how that forms something even more powerful, the blockchain. Let's go back to the ledger, the big list of transactions. Each new page of the ledger is called a block. It contains all the recent trades that were checked and confirmed. When a miner solves the puzzle and wins, their block becomes the next official page. That block is sent to everyone else, and the network updates to match it. But here's what makes Bitcoin special. Each new block doesn't just stand alone. It is linked to the block before it, like a chain. That's why it is called a blockchain. Each block has a summary of everything that came before it. If someone tries to change even one word on an old page, the summary in the next block no longer matches. That small change breaks the whole chain. It's like changing one brick in a tall tower. Everything above it falls apart because it no longer fits. So if someone wanted to lie about a past trade, they would not only have to change one block, they would also have to redo the puzzle for every block after it. And they would have to do all of that faster than the rest of the network, which is still moving forward and solving new puzzles. This is why Bitcoin is called tamper-proof. It is not just hard to change. It is built to resist change by design, using time, energy, and agreement. Each new block makes the one before it even more secure. After just a few blocks, a transaction is locked in. Everyone agrees it happened and no one can undo it. That is what the blockchain really is. A growing list of pages that are frozen in time. The longer the chain, the harder it is to change anything in the past. And because everyone has the same copy, the truth is not hidden. It is shared. You can see the entire history all the way back to the beginning. Now that we know how the blockchain keeps everything locked and linked, we can look at another question. What happens when there are no more Bitcoin rewards left to earn? Now that we understand how mining works, you might be wondering about something strange. If miners earn new Bitcoin as a reward, what happens when all the Bitcoin is gone? You may have heard that Bitcoin has a fixed supply. There will never be more than 21 million coins. That number cannot be changed. It is written into the system itself. When Bitcoin started, each block gave a reward of 50 coins, but every 4 years the reward is cut in half. This is called the halving. It keeps happening until no new coins are left. So far, the reward has dropped from 50 to 25, then to 12, and now it's just over 3. In the future, it will drop again. Eventually, there will be no new coins. That might sound like a problem, but the system has a second way to reward miners, something called transaction fees. Every time someone sends Bitcoin, they can include a small fee. That fee goes to the miner who adds the transaction to the next block. The fee is not required by force, but if you offer a small reward, miners are more likely to include your transaction quickly. If your fee is low, it might take longer to be added. So in the future, even when all 21 million Bitcoin have been mined, miners will still earn money by collecting these transaction fees. This is how the network keeps going. The system shifts from creating new coins to rewarding miners with small payments from users who want their transactions processed. Some people worry that these fees will become too high. But others believe the network will adapt, tools will improve, and most people will use layers that bundle transactions together. The point is, Bitcoin has a long-term plan. The reward shrinking over time is not a mistake. It is how the system controls supply and creates trust through scarcity. And because no one can change the rules without everyone agreeing, Bitcoin is not just digital, it is dependable. Next, let's explore another common question. Is Bitcoin really private? And can anyone see what you're doing on the network? Now, let's talk about something most people get wrong. Is Bitcoin private? The short answer is no, at least not in the way most people think. Every single Bitcoin transaction is public. The amount, the time, and the sender and receiver addresses are all recorded on the blockchain for anyone to see. But those addresses are not names like Alice or Bob. They are long strings of letters and numbers, like a secret username. That's why people say Bitcoin is pseudonymous, not anonymous. If no one knows your address, you have some privacy. But the moment someone links your address to your real name, your entire transaction history becomes visible. Anyone can see how much Bitcoin you sent, when you sent it, and what address it went to. It's like using a nickname, but if someone figures out the nickname, they see everything. This is different from cash, where no record exists after the trade. With Bitcoin, the full record lasts forever. It is transparent by design. Some people use tools that try to hide the trail. Others move coins through private wallets or mixers. But the base Bitcoin network is open. That is what makes it auditable and secure. So Bitcoin is not a secret system. It is a public one, built on honesty and visibility. And that is what makes it trustworthy, even if it means giving up some privacy. In the next section, we will explore why this entire system works, even though no one is in charge and no one needs to trust each other. Here's something amazing about Bitcoin. It works even though no one has to trust anyone else. There are no middlemen, no banks, and no referees keeping the system fair. Instead, Bitcoin runs on rules, not promises. The rules are built into the software. Anyone can read them, and no one can secretly change them without the entire network agreeing. When you send Bitcoin, you do not need to trust the receiver. You do not need to trust the sender. You just follow the rules, and the system checks the message for you. If the message is real, it goes into the ledger. If it breaks the rules, it gets rejected. No feelings, no favors, just logic. Miners don't get to choose who wins. They just play the game of solving puzzles. If they lie, they lose time and money. So they play fair because cheating is too expensive. Even if someone wanted to attack Bitcoin, they would have to spend millions of dollars and still fail, because the rest of the network keeps going without them. And because everyone can see every transaction, nothing is hidden. The truth is public. That's why people say Bitcoin is trustless, not because it is untrustworthy, but because it doesn't need anyone's word. You don't need to know who built it. You don't need to know who runs it. The system works because it is designed to work, without trust. Now that you've seen how Bitcoin holds itself together, let's pull it all together in one simple recap and show you what to do next. You started this video wondering what Bitcoin really is. Maybe you were overwhelmed, unsure, or just tired of all the confusing explanations. But now things are different. You now understand that Bitcoin is not just magic internet money. It is a public ledger, a notebook everyone can see, where each page is added by solving a puzzle. You know that every message must be signed with a digital stamp that proves it came from the real sender. You know that cheating is almost impossible because the system checks everything. You saw how blocks are linked into a chain. You saw how mining keeps the system fair. You saw how rules, not people, make the network work. You even learned why Bitcoin is not fully private, and why that's part of its strength. And now you understand what makes Bitcoin different from everything that came before it. So here's the big question. Would you rather try to figure this out on your own, or follow a step-by-step plan that makes it easy to take action? If you want to go deeper, we've created a free training that breaks this down even further. It shows how to get started with confidence and avoid the most common mistakes. You can watch it now using the link in the description. Whether you're brand new or already exploring crypto, this will help you move forward with clarity. And one more thing. If this video helped you, please leave a comment below and share your biggest takeaway. Your question might even become our next video. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more beginner-friendly guides, just like this one. You now have the foundation. You understand what most people never do. The only thing left is action.